How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Lucid, SoFi, Mullen, and as well as Polestar. We're going to be talking about how they performed on the Friday. They have been seeing a lot of momentum in the past week. And for this coming week, I want to make sure you guys are prepared, especially going into Monday. We're also going to be taking a look at the short interest information for all of them. And just in case you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know that we have timestamps down below in the description. I won't waste any more time. Let's get into those videos. So we're going to take a look at the chart for Lucid. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $19.99, being up 0.91%. On the low, it tested $19.32, and then on the high, testing $20.61. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 24.362 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 19.683 million shares. So you could see that we had above average volume on the day, and it's part of the reasons why we saw some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, here's what I want you guys to pay attention to. So far, we are trading in quite the range. So we have bounced off $16.38, and you can see that we tested resistance right at $20, which I said was a psychological area. But we also can't forget the fact that we ended up seeing a high at $20.61 and closing at $19.99. The next level to keep an eye on, especially if we continue to have these higher lows and as well as higher highs, would be at $21.89. A break above this level, you guys know already, I want to see if we can make that move going to $22.50. That's where things can get really interesting for Lucid, and we can see if it can continue to uptrend from there. If it decides to pull back and break the higher low pattern, I want to see support coming in at $19, which is right where we have the 50 EMA. So if it decides to use this as support for the coming week, then there's no doubt in my mind we should see Lucid trading in the $22 range. But if we end up breaking through $19, then don't be shocked if you see us coming down to 18 and so forth. So you want to make sure you're paying attention to that. But aside from that, if we continue to have uptrend inside of these markets, I want to see Lucid looking comfortable in the $20 range and seeing if we can make that move to $22.50. So we're going to take a look at the recent short interest information for Lucid. So the off exchange short volume ratio is at 45.83%, and then for the off exchange short volume, it is just over 3.43 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 900,000, updated 16 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 21.84%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 7th, it was at 51.65, and then for the close of the 8th, being at 45.83. So that is a significant decrease right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 22.58%, Lucid does have short squeeze potential. So we're going to take a look at the chart from Mullen. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $1.17, being up 9.35%. On the low, it tested $1.04, and then on the high, testing $1.27. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 75.64 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 58.099 million shares. So we had above average volume on the day, and it's part of the reasons why we saw some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, as you can see, it is a daily chart. Pay attention to the price action. I've talked about this happening, and this is exactly what occurred again. So we ended up bouncing off a critical support level, and we ended up making a move where we saw a high on the day at $1.27. So what's the next level you want to look for? You want to see if Mullen can break above the 50-day EMA. And the reason why this would be important, it has done this many times in the past, especially when we've seen it bounce off of $1, which I talked about back on June the 14th, and it ended up making that high all the way to $1.72. So in this scenario, you want to see price action above $1.34, and then essentially seeing if we can make a move to this resistance you can see right here at $1.52. If we can get a break above this level, that's where I want to see how well we fare, testing $1.72, because I feel if we could break through it, there's a strong possibility Mullen can try to make that move going going to $2. So we're going to take a look at the recent short interest information from MULN. So the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 50.50%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 24.92 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 350,000, updated 17 minutes ago. And then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 34.85%. And then when we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 7th, it was at 50.02. And then for the close of the 8th being at 50.50. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 11.37%, all right, MULN does have short squeeze potential. So we're going to take a look at the chart for Polestar. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $10.09, being up 5.10%. On the low, it tested $9.60, and then on the high, testing $10.40. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 4.106 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 6.147 million shares. So we had below average volume on the day, but we still saw some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, what I want to bring to your attention is the range that we are in. So we can see we have clear demand here at $8.90, also when it hit that 52-week low around $8.53. So this is the level we want to continue to have buyers stepping in. And as far as since we've been seeing a lot of momentum, you can see the continuation of the higher low pattern. I want to see Polestar getting to $10.63 for this coming week. I think it's very achievable. We did see a high at $10.40 because we did see some resistance right at that 50-day moving average, or should I say the 50-day EMA. It is at $10.33. So again, we got 7 cents above it, then we sold off, but we were able to close at $10.09. So I want to see a continuation of this higher low pattern. So I want to see us being able to hold support above 960, most preferably maybe around 980. If we are able to do this and we can gain momentum back above $10, like I said, I want to see that move to 1063, and there would be some sellers here, so that is one thing to keep in mind. But if we do end up breaking this higher low pattern that we do have, don't be shocked if we go back to retest $9, and then we'd have to see what the stock could do from there. So we're going to take a look at the short interest information for Polestar. So the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 55.47%, and the off-exchange short volume is just over 1.26 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 65,000, updated 13 minutes ago. And then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 213.05%. And then when we take a look at the history of the short volume, we could see for July the 7th, it was at 49.31. And then for July the 8th being at 55.47. So that is a significant increase right there. So one thing that is clear, Polestar does have short squeeze potential. Let's move on. So we're going to take a look at the chart for SoFi. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $6.19, being down 1.12%. On the low, it tested $5.93, and then on the high, testing $6.37. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 26.899 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 33.929 million shares. So we had below average volume on the day, and we also seen a slight pullback in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is the daily chart, what I want to bring to your attention is the range that we have been in. So we've been holding support, or we could say that there's demand at $5.33, and we could see as far as for the top is concerned, reaching the high, which was on the Friday at $6.37. But where do I want to see SoFi? I'd like to see it making a move to $6.59 so it can reach the 50-day EMA. It's been able to do this in the past and get fairly close to it back on May the 31st, and we could also see that it got above it back here on May the 20th. So I'd want to see a continuation of that pattern. It is looking bullish. It is consistently forming higher lows and as well as higher highs as well. So that is one thing to keep in consideration, despite the fact that it did have a red day on the Friday. So what I want to see going into Monday, can we form another higher low? Hey, that would be the best case scenario for SoFi, because if it's able to do that, then I could see us making that move to $6.59. Again, we reached $6.37. It's very achievable for the stock to do this. If it decides to pull back now, then I want to see support holding at $6. We saw a low at $5.93. So even if we were able to hold $6, that would give us another higher low. So let's see what the stock does for the coming week. Let's move on. one. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for SoFi. So green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings here, we have for July the 8th, we have Anderson, Hogland & Co. that purchased 287,190 shares, and we have the Bank of New Hampshire that purchased 1,000 shares, and you can see closed positions from Yarbrough Capital LLC and as well as DNB Asset Management. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 54.96%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 6.73 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 5.3 million, updated 15 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 2.15%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 7th, it was at 49.75, and then for the close of the 8th being at 54.96. So that is a significant increase right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 18.13%, SoFi does have short squeeze potential. So to give you guys my final thoughts and a recap for all of these stocks, let's start with Lucid. So it gained a lot of momentum last week, just like many other tech stocks. And we can see from the recent pattern on the chart, we have a continuation of higher lows and as well as higher highs. The fact that it closed at $19.99 should not be surprising whatsoever. We talked about $20 being a psychological area for this play. So if it ends up actually being able to hold above $20 for this coming week, that is a very good sign. But we do know that it's trading in a range. So I hope you guys were able to check out the chart portion of the video. And we also took a look at the short interest information. And of course, it does continue to have short squeeze potential. And then now let's talk about MULN. So MULN ended up seeing a lot of momentum as well, and it's due to the fact that they're going to be opening their supercharger network for non-Tesla vehicles. So of course, this does bring a lot of excitement among investors. I still see that there could be some upside inside of this play. I talked about it while I was reviewing the chart, so make sure you take a look at that if you're planning on trading it, or maybe you just want to keep an eye on it and see what it could possibly do for the coming week. And then when we took a look at Polestar, it gained a good amount of momentum as well. It is finally trading at around $10. It wasn't that long ago when it pulled back to the $8 range. I know many of you were able to take advantage of that opportunity. Can it make a further move up? Can we see $11 for the coming week? It is possible, but there are some other factors which I'm going to be talking about near the end of the video that we need to consider. But if we continue to see buying coming in, I don't see any reason why it cannot get there. We also have to take in consideration for the short interest information, not only does it have short squeeze potential, but we have the short borrow fee rate that is well over 200%. So there's a lot of shorts who are vested inside of this play, so that's why you want to make sure that you keep it on a watch. We also can't forget the fact for the overall EV sector, there's been a lot of good news that has come through. And the biggest news for Tesla, that's going to be opening up their charging network for non-Tesla vehicles. And this is a huge step, and it will help other EV manufacturers as far as breaking into the space, and also gives people a lot more options. One of the biggest hurdles to get over is infrastructure. And since Tesla has a large infrastructure in regards to their charging stations, that's why I say, you know what, this is really good news, and why the sector was able to move the way that it did. Keep in mind, they have been doing this in Europe. It has not come here into North America as of yet. But again, we can't forget that the market is forward looking, so they're trying to price that all in. Now, as far as for SoFi, there's a lot of things we need to take into consideration. We have banks that are going to be coming out with earnings for this coming week. And whether you like it or not, this will have an impact on SoFi as far as their overall performance, their guidance, and what they end up reporting. We also have to take into consideration Upstart. They are in the fintech sector like SoFi, and they did come out with some weak preliminary guidance numbers. They are going to be coming out with results that are below expectations. So just taking this into account, we know there's going to be a lot of volatility. So far, we want to see it being able to actually make a move to $7. I think that'd be quite the accomplishment for this week. But if it doesn't happen, then we want to see if it can hold up at least $6. If it can't hold up $6, then we're going to go back to revisiting those lows. And you could take a look at the chart section of the video to get a better understanding of that. And then taking a look at the short interest information, SoFi does continue to have short squeeze potential. So before I close this video out, here are some things that I want you guys to keep in mind. We have Google that's going to be doing a stock split, which is going to be taking effect on July the 15th. So we're going to be seeing a continuation of strength inside of the tech sector, in my personal opinion. So I want to make sure that none of you get left behind. So if you are a trader, look out for these opportunities. But the other point that you can't forget about, we also have CPI numbers that are going to be coming out on July the 13th. But if you remember, when we had the last CPI numbers, the market fell off a cliff the day after. So we can have another situation like this for this week, and that's why when I talk about my bullish case, that's where it ends up being void, because we know as far as for what's happening and what's going on with the economy, if CPI comes in hotter than it was last month, that is definitely not a great sign. It shows that we have not peaked as of yet. But let's say, for example, that it shows that we have peaked, or if it comes in lower or around expectations, then there is a potential chance we could see some more momentum coming into the market. We can't forget, we do have big tech that's going to be coming out with earnings as well. So there's a lot of things that are going on. So you want to make sure that you're keeping your ears to the streets and you're also paying attention. If you want to join us inside of the Discord, we talk about this every single day, and I also go over it in my daily morning live streams as well. And we go over the game plan in regards to the stocks that we want to trade, the levels that we are looking out for, just to make sure that we're increasing the probability of success in our plays. And on top of that, I always look at trading like this. If you do not have a plan, you are going to fail. So using your plan and executing it during the times when the market is extremely volatile will give you the edge that you need to see success in your trading. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and let's see how these stocks perform for the coming week. We'll talk soon.